Silence, please, all stand. This Coroners Act is now sitting. Good morning. Mr. Harker.
Thank you, Your Honour. Just one small matter before we take the evidence of Mr. Gregory. I tender a copy of the photographs that were shown to leading Senior Constable Wilson in evidence yesterday. Seek to have them added as tab 26A to Exhibit 54.
So they're to be added to tab 26A?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Your Honour. I call Andrew Gregory, who will be giving evidence via AVL this morning.
Thank you. Mr. Gregory, can you see and hear us in the courtroom?
Yes, I can.
All right, you'll just hear from the court officer now.
Silence, please. Do you swear by Almighty God that the evidence you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
Thanks, Mr. Gregory. Yes, Mr. Harker.
Would you please state your full name,
My full name is Andrew James Gregory.
your occupation,
I'm an electrician by trade.
and your business address?
107 Sheridan Road, Castlereagh. It's Smart Safe Electrical.
Mr. Gregory, are you currently a member of the Rural Fire Service?
Yes.
And what rank do you hold?
Currently, I hold the rank of Senior Deputy Captain.
So that broke up slightly. Was it Senior Deputy Captain?
Yes. Yeah, Senior Deputy Captain, yes.
And which brigade are you attached to?
I'm attached to Castlereagh Brigade of the Cumberland Zone.
And you've prepared a statement for the purposes of this inquest?
Yes.
And that statement is dated the 12th of March 2020?
Yes.
And you have a copy of that statement with you today?
Yes, right in front of me.
Is there anything that you'd like to change in your statement?
No, I've read it and it pretty much seems all good.
So in December 2019, what was your rank?
Senior Deputy Captain.
And you were a member of the Castlereagh Brigade at that time as well?
Yes.
In the evening of 19th December 2019, you were part of a strike team given the call sign Cumberland Bravo.
Yes.
And what was your role that night?
To head down to relieve our day crew that was fighting the fires down there, and then go with the strike team and do night duties down there in that affected area.
And you were crew leader?
Yes, I was the crew leader on Castlereagh 1 at the time.
So that night you arrived at the Cumberland Fire Control Centre at about 6 p.m?
Yes.
And you and the strike team were transported to Picton.
Yes.
And what time did you arrive at Picton?
We left the Cumberland Zone Fire Control Centre roughly at about 7. We pretty much would have got to about Picton Showground where the staging area was, roughly about that 8 o'clock mark, to obviously relieve our crews then.
At the stationing area, were you given a briefing?
We were given a briefing, yes, by our strike team leader, Adam Hurst, and he informed us that the areas that we were going into were badly affected by the fire that day, and to be very vigilant of what might be down there. So, yes, we were given.
And when did you depart Picton?
Probably would have been, about 8:30, 9 o'clock, maybe. We had to also go and get fuel for the trucks because they were running low, and we had to go to the nearest service station to obviously fill up. So by the time we left there, it probably would have been just after 9.
From there, you travelled to Buxton?
Yes.
And what were the weather conditions on your arrival in Buxton?
Obviously, being at night time, the weather conditions from memory, they weren't too bad. There was a little bit of wind, but to be honest with you, I wasn't really focused on the weather conditions. It was night time and a little bit of wind through that area.
What did you see of the impact of the fire?
Going through that area was just devastation. There was going down Wilson Way through that area. Trees were down, power lines were down, sections of power poles were down. It was yeah, you could see the effects of the firestorm that went through there that afternoon and before we got there, and it was just it was just a nightmare. It was crazy.
And did your strike team carry out any taskings in Buxton that night?
When we got to Buxton, we were tasked to go and go down a few of the little roads there where the houses are. And when we went down those roads that night, there was additional fire units down there, and it was, to put it briefly, every man and their dog was down there. There was fire and rescue trucks already down there, other RFS units down there. So we were tasked to go and see if we could do anything to assist, but we thought we would be more of a hindrance because just the way that the roads are, it's just very narrow, and there was already plenty of resources down. So when we relayed a message saying that will be more of a hindrance, we pulled out and just staged just around the corner next to Buxton Public School. There's a little bus stop, and I think it's a daycare centre that our Cumberland strike team there just we merged there, just waiting for further instructions.
And what were those further instructions when you received them?
When we received the instructions, we were told to head back over the train lines and turn left onto Wilson Way and head south towards Balmoral. I do state that in my statement. I said Bargo, but it was actually Balmoral. Bargo's on the other side. So we're heading down towards Balmoral, like Hilltop area, as there was jobs down there that obviously needed to be done. So we pulled out from that area, or that staging area, and then 5 minutes after that, that's when the impact happened.
You were travelling in a convoy prior to the impact?
Yes.
And you were in the third truck in the convoy?
Yes.
And you were sitting in the passenger seat, the front passenger seat?
Yes, correct.
And your vehicle was directly behind the vehicle Horsley Park 1 Alpha?
Yes, that is correct.
As you drove down Wilson Drive, what was the visibility like?
Visibility from my perspective was good. Like, I could see Horsley Park 1 Alpha in front of us. We were travelling no more than, say, 50 to 70 metres or so behind them. The way that I was counting that was the width of the power poles, between the spacing between the power poles. So we're roughly about 2 power pole spacings behind them, which was enough visibility for me to see their truck clearly, with their tail lights and all that, but still enough space between us travelling in convoy at that particular time of night, just to make sure that we weren't too close to them, especially the conditions that were down there that night. So we made sure we were a safe distance behind, but still clearly visible.
Certainly. What speed were you travelling at the time?
That area down there is a 50 to 60 zone, so we were travelling roughly about that speed. Obviously, as I stated, the conditions that night, I told the driver at the time just to be very careful and cautious, and he was doing just that. So we were only travelling about that speed and still keeping up with the other trucks.
Mr. Gregory, what did you then see happen to Horsley Park 1 Alpha?
I saw a large section of tree come down right in front of them, and then I saw them pretty much go through that large section of tree. Debris went everywhere from that tree. The truck went over the top of the trunk of the main section, and then I saw the truck kind of bouncing and moving side to side, and then as it was doing that, it was moving towards the right hand side of the road, and then once they hit the gutter, the culvert there, they rolled several times, and I saw debris flying off that truck, and just devastation, carnage. So something I don't want to see again.
Certainly. How long was it between when you saw the tree start to fall and it hit the truck?
Oh, it was instantaneous. Like it was milliseconds. We were traveling behind them, and all of a sudden you just see this large section of tree come down right in front, and unfortunately Jeff had no time to brake effectively. Like literally it came down right in front of him. The boys had no chance of stopping.
Then you radioed strike team leader Adam Hurst, and you and your team commenced first aid.
That is correct, yes.
Your Honour, I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Huggett. Mr. Newton, so Mr. Sakalis.
No questions, Your Honour.
Mr. Newton.
No questions, Your Honour.
Thanks very much, Mr. Gregory. You're excused.
Your Honour, that concludes the oral evidence. Now I'd like to invite Diane Keaton, the mother of Jeffrey, to provide a statement on behalf of Jeffrey's family.
Thank you. Diane. Just take your time, Diane.
Thank you. Slide.
We'll get the slides happening. Have you got a glass of water there?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. This is our Jeff. He changed our lives. We weren't just Wes and Diane anymore. We became Mum and Dad. Our proudest achievement in our life is our sons. Jeffrey was a sweet little boy who loved his family, and he spent lots of time growing up with his cousins. He had more than 80, including second cousins. He was a little mini replica of his dad, and he had a special bond with his brother. From the day Phil was born, Jeff became the big brother, the protector. Jeff wanted to help out all the time, and I'll never forget the time he was keen to help change his brother's nappy until he seen what was in it, and he wasn't up for that again. It was Jeff who introduced his brother Phil to his now wife Rachel. Jeff projected a tough guy with an attitude image, but we all know he was a big softie, and he was a loyal mate. His mates could talk to him, and he made a real difference. Jeff was so excited about becoming a dad and was very proud of his little boy, his buddy Harvey, who was a little mini replica of his daddy. Growing up, he loved sport, and it didn't matter which one. He played many sports like soccer, football, baseball, golf, and rugby. We think he loved the mateship of being part of a team more than the sport itself. Jeff loved anything outdoors, especially fishing, camping, and four-wheel driving. Any opportunity to get out and do stuff with the boys, he was in. He was also a bit of a larrikin who liked to have a beer or two with his mates. As a little boy, he joined the cadets with the RFS, and as soon as he was old enough, he signed up. It was something that he loved being a part of. I recently came across a piece that Jeff, as an 11-year-old, wrote in his Year 6 journal, and I'd like to read that out for you. Why do volunteers play a big part in our everyday life? I'm here to talk about volunteers in our community. Volunteers help without getting paid. Volunteers play a big role in our day-to-day life. There are many kinds of volunteers such as SES, St John's Ambulance, Salvation Army and the Rural Fire Service. There are also volunteers in our school like parents who listen to children read, as well as canteen helpers. Some examples of the work these people do is the SES helped in the recent hailstorm in Sydney by putting up tarps and checking if people were okay. St John Ambulance are a volunteer medical organisation that help people that are hurt at sporting events. The Salvation Army give homeless people blankets and a warm place to stay. Volunteer firefighters give up their time. Firefighters work harder in the summer with bushfires all over Australia. Volunteer firefighters give up their spare time, even during the night. Some firefighters give their life in bushfires. Without volunteers, lots of people would miss out, like people that don't have a job, just like the poor people. There are lots more volunteers that I didn't mention that are just as important and do a good job. So now you know why volunteers are so important. Jeffrey, we love you and we miss your big smiley face every day, and we're very proud of the man you grew to be.
Thanks very much, Diane. Melissa. Take as much time as you like.
Thank you. Andrew O'Dwyer. A son, a husband, a brother, a father, an uncle, a friend, a mentor, a photographer, and a dedicated RFS volunteer. This is who Andrew was, yet the true character of Andrew was always his ability to capture the best of every element of life and share it with everyone. Andrew's optimism, enthusiasm, and vibrant nature inspired everyone around him to make the most of every moment, every day. Andrew was hardworking and he dedicated much of his life giving back to the community. Andrew was passionate about everything he turned his hand to. He always gave 110% to everything he was involved in. Andrew was inclusive and caring and involved everyone in conversations, games, camping trips, and social events. His warmth and kind nature was felt by anyone who crossed paths with Andrew. I am proud of the beautiful person that he was and the positive impact he had on so many people. As a talented photographer, if he was not behind the camera, he was leading the celebration as the life of the party. He was the king of the kids, where he helped them explore and empowered them with knowledge and a sense of wonder that still lives on in our nephews Xavier and Nixon, in all his friends' children, and most importantly, the apple of his eye, his daughter Charlotte. Andrew would always have Charlotte, Xavier and Nixon in stitches of laughter, running down the halls, making them think they could fly. Andrew loved seeing the kids posing for funny face photos. He created and captured so many special memories that will live on with us. Andrew's presence and his love for his family was felt by everyone, and his great sense of humour made every moment, big or small, memorable. Every weekend with Andrew was an outdoors adventure. Not a second went to waste. We loved being in the great outdoors and would take Charlotte exploring, bushwalking, or road tripping up the coast to visit my sister's family. Andrew truly lived life to the fullest and inspired everyone around him to do the same. His love of the outdoors and spending time with family and friends was one of his best qualities. Andrew longed for years to be a father, and when Charlotte was born, he devoted everything into ensuring she was happy, loved, and safe. He managed to instill his cheekiness, stubbornness, and adventurous nature into his little girl, who misses her hero every day. It is truly devastating that Charlotte won't get to know her father in her own special way, but I take comfort knowing the best of him lives on in the memories and love for him that we all share, and seeing his beautiful nature in her reminds me of the amazing person he was. Andrew was the true definition of a fantastic father to Charlotte. I met Andrew in 2010, and from that day, he became my partner in every adventure and then my loving husband. We shared the highs and lows of life together and created so many perfect memories that will never be forgotten. Andrew always made me laugh and made me appreciate beauty in the simple things in life. He inspired me to be the best version of myself every day, and his loyal, kind, and caring attitude towards Charlotte and myself made us feel so loved. Andrew instantly became a support to my family, ensuring Mum's house was well presented with a beautiful garden and decorated for Christmas. After my father was confined to a wheelchair, Andrew became the handyman and assisted Mum in maintaining the house. This continued even after we built our own house, and somehow he still managed to create and maintain an Australian native garden for us, which draws wildlife to our doorstep, making us feel he is sending them to ensure we continue to see the world's beauty. Andrew tragically passed away on the 19th of December 2019, selflessly helping others while volunteering to serve in the RFS. That day we all lost the shining light of the party, the photographer who captured the happiest moments of every element of life, the king of the kids, my best friend, and Charlotte, at only 19 months old, lost her beloved daddy. Andrew and I only got to share 9 years of what would have been a lifetime together. I miss my husband, my partner, my best friend, my future, and my daughter's father. On that day, Charlotte and I lost our everything, our shining light.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you, Diane and Melissa, for sharing your precious memories and photos of Jeff and Andrew. As we heard from Diane, 11-year-old Jeff wrote in his Year 6 journal that volunteer firefighters give up their time, even during the night. Some firefighters give their life in bushfires. Tragically, Andrew and Jeff did give their lives in the bushfires on the 19th of December 2019. The loss to their families, as is the gratitude we owe these two brave men. I offer my heartfelt condolences to both families, those in court today and those watching from home. I'd also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge all RFS volunteers, particularly the RFS members on the truck with Andrew and Jeff and those who rendered assistance on the night. No doubt the circumstances of this tragedy have left deep scars. It must have taken enormous courage to continue with their firefighting responsibilities despite the devastating loss of their two colleagues. Their unfailing dedication and selfless service to the community is to be commended. Our thoughts and gratitude are with all of them today. Thank you. Mr. Castleton.
Your Honour, that concludes Your Honour's inquisition of the deaths of Jeffrey Wesley Keaton and Andrew Joel O'Dwyer. Your Honour now has the benefit of the documentary material contained within the brief of evidence tendered and marked Exhibit 54. Your Honour has heard the oral testimony of leading Senior Constable Brian Wilson, New South Wales Police Officer in charge, Senior Constable Jeffrey Head, Vehicle Examiner, and various RFS personnel including Adam Hurst, Carlos Quinteros and Andrew Gregory. Your Honour also has the benefit of hearing the family statements just now that were provided by Diane Keaton and Melissa O'Dwyer. At a later stage in Your Honour's inquiry into the 2019-2020 bushfire season, those assisting Your Honour will formally address Your Honour on the manner and cause of Jeffrey Wesley Keaton's death and the manner and cause of Andrew Joel O'Dwyer's death. In that regard, I can foreshadow that formal submissions are likely to be made that Jeffrey Wesley Keaton died as a result of mechanical crush asphyxia around 11:30 p.m. on Thursday, 19 December 2019 at Wilson Drive, Buxton, whilst on New South Wales RFS duty at the Greenwattle Creek Fireground. After the fire truck he was driving was struck by a falling tree, causing the fire truck to leave the roadway and roll over. In relation to Andrew Joel O'Dwyer, I apprehend formal submissions were made that Andrew died as a result of head injuries around 11:30 p.m. on Thursday, 19 December 2019 at Wilson Drive, Buxton, whilst on New South Wales Rural Fire Service duty at the Greenwattle Creek Fireground, after the fire truck he was travelling in was struck by a falling tree, causing the fire truck to leave the roadway and roll over. Your Honour, that concludes those inquests, I'd be indebted if Your Honour could stand the matter over to the 5th of September 2022.
Yes, I do that, Mr Castleton. I adjourn the matter to the 5th of September 2022.
Please the Court.
That brings us to the end of these inquests. I thank everyone for being here. I know it's been difficult, and I hope that in some way these proceedings have helped a little bit in what must be a terrible time for you to remember and to relive that tragic evening. We'll adjourn now and resume the next date, which
14th of June.
14th of June. Thank you.
Silence, please, all stand. This time is for